Okay, welcome back to another episode of Extra Features Movie Review Podcast. This is episode 251, and I'm Kevin.
Wow, don't sound so excited. I'm Simon, and I've seen all the movies.
I'm Daniel, and I missed two. I can't count.
I'm Doug, and I've seen most of the movies.
So what's everyone been up to? I mean, it's great being in stage 3, I have to say. I've been back to the gym for 2 solid weeks. I find I'm a happier person because I feel positive I'm working out. And I got to give a shout out to my gym. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you. And I got to give a shout out to everybody else in Canada. We're doing a great job here, and I'm very happy.
I'm less happy. I'm in America, and we're going to hell in a handbasket. But, you know, it's the way things are now. It's the new normal.
Dude, you can have my citizenship. Come on up for a few weeks. You'll be happy.
I don't think you can get across the border right now.
No, I think they've locked down everything from the States. Nobody can get in.
No, you can fly in. Apparently.
I heard they stopped that too now.
Did they? I'd be surprised.
Yeah. A week ago, they stopped everything pretty much.
Like on your personal plane kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard you can't even get in here at all from the States. Europe, you can get in. China, you can get in. You can't get in from U.S. because the COVID cases are too high.
True.
Crazy.
So, before we start the episode, I want to go over a couple quick things. Daniel, you're in a new location tonight, and Kevin, you've been doing some work in your house.
Yeah, I set up, like I brought a chair from the dining room because I've been doing those like interviews, so I'm just sitting at my desk in the basement. So that's everything.
Well, there you go, people. Now we got Daniel Prinn's basement.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Kevin.
Yes.
Anybody got anything else to say before I start?
No.
Okay. Netflix movies keep coming out. Like, that's the one thing during COVID we have. At least we have something to watch.
Right.
We're not all combing through our DVD shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know our first film was Old Guard. We're going to get there in a second. And I just want to preface this. How do you guys feel about these Netflix films? I just feel they're always roughly the same. They're never what I want from the movies.
I don't know if I agree with you on that. Some of them, like The Irishman, are outstanding.
Yeah, that's one.
But all right, and I know you're going to disagree with me on this one, but The Five Bloods was also a big release.
Yeah.
And I would say of the two we're reviewing tonight, one is great, and the other is just kind of filler. But it would be something you might see in the movie theaters.
Correct.
You wouldn't go to it, but it'd be out for a week or two and then disappear again.
And 17 days later, it'll be on VOD.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it's different quality, but for the most part, they're okay. Now, the only thing I would say is that at some point, the Netflix movies will have to slow down because there hasn't been any new production other than animated stuff for a while, right?
Nope, they've started shooting Jurassic Park. They're all shooting all over the place, everywhere. But I don't know if U.S. has started. I know they started shooting in New York City about a month ago, and I don't know about California.
So I know the Shang-Chi cast is assembling in Australia. They're going to start shooting this week again. And I think that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier cast and crew can assemble. That's in Croatia. But the Eternals, I'm not sure what's going on with that one. Spider-Man doesn't start. I think Uncharted is shooting right now, so Spider-Man will be starting soon. And I don't think the Batman has started back up again.
That's England, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're getting there. So I guess we should get into Old Guard because I want to get a little bit more into this discussion, but I need to discuss the film. So Old Guard, get it, Dan.
Starring Charlize Theron, Kiki Lane, Matthias Schoenaerts, Marwan Kanzari, Luca Marinelli, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Harry Melling, better known as Dudley Dursley from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, come on, nothing wrong with Dursley from the Harry Potter. Okay, this is what I'm getting at. I would consider this a straight Netflix film. Could it got a theatrical release? No, because I don't see enough money behind this film. I think the film is okay. I think it's average. I like Charlize Theron. I always like her as an actress. I like this premise. But I feel after watching it, we've been here, done that. They didn't do enough with the project. And I think budget might have been a big concern on this one.
That's like a big budget to me. Like what, 125, 150?
Really?
I mean, that's what I would guess. I mean, then it's going to be much bigger to get Charlize Theron back because they always ask for more money on the second one.
And it should have been better. I just found the action scenes all look the same to me. The fight scenes all look the same to me. I mean, I was waiting for something to happen, and finally there's a twist right near the end. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Average at best.
I mean, I liked the action scenes a lot, like the slicing and dicing and all that. I thought it was well directed. I can agree that these Netflix films have like a specific feel. Like this is one I would want to own though if they ever release these on Blu-ray, because I feel like this, to your point, like Six Underground had a very similar, like whatever mercenary group. I didn't hate it as much as you guys, but this movie is everything Six Underground wanted to be, and throw in a bit of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I would put this more on par with Extraction.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That Liam Neeson film, or not Liam Hemsworth or Chris Hemsworth.
Try again, eh?
Yeah, just moving through names until I hit the right one. But it had that same kind of action feel to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I would say that this movie is acted much better than either Extraction or Six Underground. I think Charlize Theron just brought kind of a gravitas to the movie that Hemsworth didn't bring, Ryan Reynolds didn't bring. I mean, granted, I don't think Six Underground was going for gravitas, but I do think Old Guard definitely was, and I think that is something to what Simon was saying. That's a little bit different than you would get in wide release action films. Earlier this year, we got Bad Boys for Life. I don't see that movie going for the gravitas that the Old Guard went for. And I think when you have an actress like Charlize who can bring that, go for it. I think it adds to the mystique of the movie.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but it's based on a comic book written by Greg Rucka, who served as an executive producer and wrote the film. I found it had a very Highlander vibe to it, obviously, with Immortals grouping together. I got to admit, I watched this in two parts, and I found the first half really dragged, and I felt like, boy, man, being immortal really sucks. It shouldn't suck this badly. I'm like, they're so bored of being immortal. I'm bored with seeing them on screen. But the second half, I thought really picked up, and I was right into it. It kind of redeemed the entire project, I found. There are some things they did for the film that aren't in the comics. Like, she doesn't lose, I'm spoiling it, but she doesn't lose her immortality, the Charlize Theron character. But the producers felt they needed to make her vulnerable, that she couldn't just be, completely undefeatable. And so they made her immortal so that there would be some sense of risk involved. I thought the concept of the one immortal who was drowned was fascinating. So if you couldn't die and someone threw you into the ocean, what would happen to you? Like, you die and wake up again on a regular basis, and you'd go insane.
Yes.
And so, and it sets up a sequel. And again, this comes across as like a really good pilot for a TV show, in a sense, because you could pick up and have the adventures of the immortal crew fighting another immortal crew led by the insane drowned woman. So I thought there was a lot to work with there, and I thought it would be fun to see. I mean, obviously they're going to go with the sequel to it. The numbers have been great for this one, and the reviews have been very strong. So I don't know. I liked it.
Even I liked it.
I know, you hate everything.
Yeah, so that's what I just found. The characters, I wanted more depth, and I understand this is an origin movie, so I'm not going to really get what I want. I will get it more in probably number 2, and obviously comic book form, I'd get it in issue 2, 3, 4. I'd get a little bit more what I'm looking for, and I get that. I know what this is going for. I think it hit its mark on that. I just wanted more out of it. And I just thought it was a little predictable. With the black woman coming in, I'm like, get it. She's going to ask all the questions I need to ask. Explain to me what I need to know. And I just felt she needed to get a little bit more in the game, a little bit quicker.
Right.
And then it seemed to take her long for the bells to ring.
Mm-hmm.
I thought everyone had depth here, like the relationship between the guy from Joe, the guy from Aladdin, who, like, I recognized his name, Kanzari, and I was like, wait, like, I know you're from Aladdin, but you look way younger as Aladdin. But I forgot he played Jafar. But no, I like that relationship between him and the other guy, and then the monologue where he's like, oh, he's more than my boyfriend kind of thing. I don't know, I thought that was good dialogue, and I thought, just given the vulnerability to Charlize Theron, and just it's exhausting, and then her not knowing that she needs to, like, what she's doing, she doesn't think is relevant. But I love the way that, like, Chiwetel Ejiofor is just like, oh no, you have this big legacy, and then every little thing is affected like 100 years later. I thought that was really cool.
I will give you credit. I did like that tie-in.
Yeah.
That probably saved the film for me, that little tie-in there with Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Doug, anything else?
No, I think you guys, we hit it.
So does that make this film irresistible?
So let's see what the eye roll, what you're doing with this one. Or what you think of this one. It's directed by Jon Stewart, starring Steve Carell, Rose Byrne, Chris Cooper, Mackenzie Davis, Brent Sexton, Will Sasso, Topher Grace, and Natasha Lyonne.
Did Doug see this?
Yes, I did.
I think Doug should start, since this is totally American politics.
It is. It is 100% American politics, and I have no idea who this movie is for. It tried to run the both sides debate by, there's good on both sides, there's bad on both sides. But in the end, I felt it just ended up talking down to the audience so much. I like the ending. I like the twist kind of at the end. But everything up to that point was a slog. And Steve Carell just played a giant asshole in this movie.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say. Okay, I'll pick up that point. I like seeing the characters show up. I like how, this is how I really feel as a Canadian that American politics works. This film really just tells me how it works. The twist at the end was fabulous. It's the only redeeming part of this film is the twist. I like that Natasha Lyonne getting in trouble for handing out pamphlets to nuns. I thought was kind of funny. Steve Carell does a good job. He always does a good job. I find everybody here. My major problem is Jon Stewart cannot direct a film. He takes these weird shot choices. Like, he starts at the bottom of people and works his way up, and he shoots the bar scene the same way over and over again. And he makes Steve Carell come off like a complete dick. Like Steve Carell's that dumb that he's not going to order a burger at a schnitzel place. Like, I thought that was a little far-fetched.
I don't know about that. I think that he was obtuse. I think he was a Washington politico, and I think he was used to ordering things around the way that he wanted them to be. And the same thing with Rose Byrne.
But who is this film for? I think Doug hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's not interesting.
I could argue, I could say maybe it's for the moderates. I have no idea. That doesn't really appeal to Republicans or Democrats or anything. I think it's just kind of saying, here's how the system works. Here's how we've built this news media political junkie system where we can take a small town, which is basically dying and dead, and completely revitalize it by getting it onto the news. And all this money gets spent in the small town. And then the campaign finance rules are such that the town itself manipulated. I'm spoiling another movie here, but like they manipulated the system into such a way that they got millions of dollars of donations to help revitalize their town. And it was brilliant. And it's actually, I think that's what the whole point of the film is, basically to say, hey, watch this and steal this idea and try to revive your communities this way. That's the only thing I could take out of it that would have been redeeming about it.
So do you think this might have actually happened somewhere?
I think that Did you watch the end credits where they were doing interviews with actual political correspondents?
No.
Okay, so Jon Stewart is presenting the idea, and he says, "I think this could work because the campaign finances are such a way that any donations made to a super PAC, they don't have to go back or be returned. So the super PAC keeps the money, and the super PAC could turn around and donate that money to charity. They rarely ever do, but the finance laws are such that they could." So I thought that was a fascinating thing like a point I think that he was trying to get across. Here's a cool idea. How do I get this out into the public consciousness? So,
couldn't he have done that in one of his opening monologues on his show?
Most likely.
Like, hey, you want 100 minutes and I'll eventually get to my point?
But maybe he wanted to direct films too. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible film. I
disagree.
I mean, it's not a 1 out of 10.
I didn't give it a 1 out of 10.
But it's like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
I gave it a 3.
Mediocre. I call it a moderate mediocre.
Yeah, I gave it a 5. Like, I thought I don't really understand politics so much. The satire was too subtle, and then at the end it was like, okay, hey, they spent too much money on elections. I was like, okay, that's a satire then. But otherwise, it was like a straight comedy, and I think the only redeeming parts were the banter between Stikar and Rose Byrne.
And I think the point at the beginning was important to make, that they lie. These political people lie to get their stuff across. And so you see that with Rose Byrne is like, yeah, I'm from this town. He's like, no, you're not. You're not from this town. Oh yeah, completely. I'm a whatever Dork Funder or whatever town it was called.
Deer Laken.
Yeah, Deer Laken. That's not even how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And then he made up the whole thing about the mayor had a love child, and it turns out it was his niece or something like that.
Yes.
And
yeah.
They just play each other. And it's how he just calls up and says, "Oh, a source came to here. I'm going to give you some information. It's from a source close to the campaign." They feed the news, they feed the cycles. So to call the news media fake isn't 100% wrong. It's not 100% right either, because they use it to their advantage. Politicians and news media play off each other in the business.
Okay, I'm moving along because I'm falling asleep 3 times listening to you guys. So,
okay,
let's go to Desperados because I have lots to say about this one.
Are you desperate to get the Desperados?
I absolutely.
Okay, starring Nazim Pedrad, Anna Camp, Lamorne Morris, Sarah Burns, Robbie Amell, Heather Graham for like a minute, and Jessica Chaffin.
Okay, Doug, do you want to start again before I get into this, or do you want to feed off me?
I will just say this movie is not for me. I think twice in the entire movie. Once was a scene of slapstick when the hotel employees leap from the balcony and land on the lead character, whose name is escaping me at the moment. And then the other thing that I laughed at is Kaylee saying, you can eat shit all day and it's never going to taste any better. Those were the 2 things that I enjoyed in this movie, and that's about it.
Okay.
Leslie was the name of the main girl character.
I will follow up with Doug. I'll give it a positive for 2 things. I thought the dolphin joke was hysterical.
Yes.
That was a good joke. And I thought the little kid was a good joke. Okay. The bad things. These leads are all terrible. Anna Camp cannot walk her dog correctly in this film. She cannot act. I'm done. She needs to move along and never be seen again on anything I watch. Unfunny. Her friend, who has marital issues, trying to have a kid, unfunny. She needs to go too. I'm done with her. The lead. Give me a break. She's terrible too. As all needs to be recast, could have been funnier. Let's continue on. We have good supporting characters with the kid and his mom. Never really touched on. They have them in for a couple seconds, do a solid gag, and then leave them alone. I'm like, no, the film, they're good. I want more of them. They were good, and they sort of just bring them in, do their gag, and leave. And I'm like, no, they should be a bigger part. The black guy coming in, you could tell he was going to be the lead a mile away by the end of the film. The Robbie Amell character does nothing of interest this whole film. It tries so hard to be funny. Nothing other than that dolphin scene was solid comedy, other than her going to the thing with the towel. I just think she's such a bad actress. I got bored numerous times. I like parts, but I don't feel they ever build off those parts into something greater. I think it's there. I think if you recast this film, Doug might like it, and I would like it a lot more. I think the problem is the cast is boring.
I think it's more the writing than the cast.
Yeah. I mean, it's the B team for sure. I mean, the Desperados was in Aladdin.
This is the C team. Anna Camp's here. She's never had a hit in her life.
Oh, she was going to Pitch Perfect. That's an ensemble.
That's Anna Camp, not her.
Well, okay, but just
She's filling.
But I mean, Nazim Pedrad was in Aladdin. She was a New Girl, so she played the love interest for Lamar Morris on New Girl. So I had the added benefit of the chemistry, but I didn't care for the characters. And even the dolphin dick slap, I didn't really find that funny. I was like, okay.
Oh my god.
And then I didn't like it.
Have you been slapped in the face by a dolphin dick yet?
No.
Well, when that happens, I'm going to find it funny, just so you know.
Okay. No, I didn't like that. I didn't like the whole pedophilia bit with Coco from Zoe 101. That was just kind of annoying. I found this movie annoying. Like the first 20 minutes, I was like, okay, maybe this won't be so bad. But then they got into the pedophilia bit and the dolphin dick slap, and I was like.
So some fun facts about this film: it's been in production for nearly 11 years.
No wonder.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was announced in 2009. It was going to star Isla Fisher in the lead role.
Perfect.
And there were a few other people involved. Anna Camp, Robbie Amell, Jason Mitchell were in the cast, but they kept moving people around and firing people, letting people go. So it ended up at Netflix for distribution, with a few people stepping in to fill different roles, like Lamorne Morris came in at the last minute, as did Heather Graham, who had just like a very minor part at the end. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else. I thought, again, it's a thoroughly mediocre movie. It would have been a meet-cute romance comedy that would have been in the theaters for 2 weeks and then shown up on streaming services a couple weeks later and then disappeared from our public consciousness. I thought the premise was funny at the beginning with the idea of sending a drunk email. Because she's been burned all the time, she decided to take it out on him. And then when she gets the call that he's in the hospital and he's been in a coma and doesn't have access to it, I thought that was a funny premise for a trip down to Mexico to go and steal, break into the hotel, get the computer, wipe the email. I was amused by the idea. I thought it worked, a chance for a road trip, right? The three girls to go but I agree that her friends were kind of mediocre, not really very interesting. I thought the jokes with the sex toy and the kid picking up, I thought that was quite funny, and the staff were trying to get it out of his hands, and so forth. And then the scene with her in the towel and ended up being in the room of the kid and his mother. Again, I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was unlike. I didn't think it was pedophilia, but I thought it was, amusing. And then it's just a sort of thing that wherever they do, they end up meeting this kid and his mother by accident. But beyond that, the film is just, a series of random events that, everybody, including the cast, gets pissed off at the main character, who's just a selfish person. I mean, there's nothing to say, nothing redeeming about her, other than, Lamorne is a nice guy who, I don't know.
And then she does that cat comparison, like, oh, I'm your cat.
Yeah, but I did think they had chemistry together from New Girl when they were they were the too cute couple on New Girl. They finished each other's they were cops and they finished each other's sentences, and it was pretty bad. But anyway, so I would give this like a 5, again, another 4 or 5 out of 10 if I were ranking.
So, Simon, sorry, you want to go? Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
I was just gonna say, just to your point of all these Netflix films being the same. I saw this with the wrong Missy. So I think this is why I hated it more. The same movie with
I
David
like the
Spade
wrong
and that B
Missy
team.
better.
Yeah. They're about the. They're about the
See, we
same
need
for me.
Rob Schneider as the hotel guy in here, and it would have worked for me.
Honestly, fair. I mean, it's a weird thing for Wrong Missy when Rob. It's just so 2000s anyway.
Listen, it's an Adam Sandler production. I know Rob Schneider and the other guy, his buddy Nate Swartzen, is showing up.
Jackson?
Nick Swartzen.
Oh, Nick Swartzen, yeah.
At some point, they're all going to show up. And Rob Schneider doing the Rob Schneider voice going, oh, charming. Makes me laugh. Because that's just Rob Schneider being Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with the wrong Missy is the Missy's wrongly cast, but we're not here. It's the same problem with Desperados. It's the same problem I have with these Netflix movies. They're mediocre usually, at best. Except for the one that Kevin mentioned, the Scorsese film. They're all average. At
I don't
best.
even like The Irishman.
Yeah. But, I mean, I like The Irishman. It was a well-shot film. I don't feel these films are well-shot. I feel they're just here for a reason, for filler.
I thought Odegaard was well-directed.
Pardon?
Sorry, I was just saying I thought Odegaard was well-directed.
Odegaard, yeah, but again, it's not great.
I can name 5 great Netflix films off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
So All the Boys I Loved Before?
Irishman, Roma, The Five Bloods, Marriage Story, Beasts of No Nation. That's 5 right there.
Mudbound?
I wouldn't call that one great.
Okay.
That's over a number of years. That's like 1 a year there, Doug. 2 this year. That one, Marriage Story was amazing, and an Irishman. That was 2 in 1 year. That's a pretty big year for them. Roma again, but they all had theatrical releases.
Yeah, but they were all Netflix. Those were all Netflix-funded films.
I guess what I'm trying to say, they weren't ready to go right on Netflix. They had a theatrical release first because they were that good. And Netflix bought them. They weren't Netflix produced. This is a Netflix produced film, Desperados.
Festival release, right? For Roma and Marriage Story?
Yes.
They premiered at TIFF?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm moving along. So
I'm looking forward to Project Power. That looks pretty good.
I don't even know what that is.
So could I say one thing about Odegaard going back just like for 20 seconds? I love the bit where Harry Melling is on the stairs with Andy's battle axe and he's like, how many are there? It made me think of when he asks how many presents there are in Sorcerer's Stone. Okay, we can cut that.
Okay.
It wasn't fucking
I
funny.
was going to say something about the 20th century, but I think I just got cut off. But back up to Odegaard. I want to start off with this one, Kevin.
Oh, I'll do the
Go
cast. Dan Byrne, Kathryn St. Laurent, Sean Collin, Louise Negan.
Where did you find this film, Kevin?
All right, so I came across this randomly. I think I saw a poster for it. I'm a Canadian history buff, so
I know.
A movie about William Lyon Mackenzie King seemed kind of interesting to me, and this is totally not a movie about William Lyon Mackenzie King. This is completely crazy acid flashback. I saw some of the shots from it. I'm like, this looks like a silent movie from the 1920s, cobbled together with modern cameras and sound work. But it's like some weird, I can't even describe it. It's like a random silent films version of the future, using present events of the turn of the century, the 19th, the start of the 20th century. Mackenzie King is in Toronto and he wants to be, it's his destiny to be prime minister according to his mother. There's some weird stuff with William Lyon Mackenzie King. So, like the cactus in his bedroom that gets bigger and bigger.
Oh, we're discussing that.
Yeah.
I'm not letting that go.
The man who plays his mother. There's a lot of cross-dressing in this movie.
And then the Quebec girl that comes out of the Easter egg, the dinosaur egg.
Yeah. She's a nurse or something that he's in love with or he's obsessed about.
Yes.
And then he's in love with the Governor General's daughter.
Correct.
And the Governor General is like a Hitler-like dictator who does broadcasts, and He's doing propaganda for the British to recruit people to go and fight the Boer War.
Yes.
And his daughter and her friend go. So there are things that are factual, but thrown in with a weird kind of, like, I don't know. Mackenzie King wants to find love, and he wants to be prime minister. And actually, I thought it was hilarious that we don't have elections in this movie. They battle it out. They have contests to decide who gets to be prime minister, like waiting in line and being snarky.
Kissing in the snow and.
I guess I've written that one.
Yeah, like, and then I think the main one is like, it's like they go into an ice maze and they battle it out, and I don't know what was in the water, the killer seals or something.
Like narwhal. It's a narwhal.
Narwhal, yeah. And the northern lights are right over the maze, and like, it's like fantasy. It's like the world of tomorrow, like H.G. Wells' The Shape of Things to Come, combined with Canadian politics, which is boring. And apparently we all live in igloos and travel on ski lifts to get around on Bloor Street.
There's a bit of Monty Python there too.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
So it's a terrible movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is awful. But it is intentionally hilarious with all this weirdness. So I couldn't take my eyes off the screen for this thing. I wasn't bored at all.
Oh, I wasn't bored.
I'll give it credit there. Anyway, so that's
okay.
So for originality, I would give it a 7. For just quality, I'd give it a 2.
Literally, I thought this film made no sense. It was somebody's fevered dream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the hell? When he goes to Winnipeg to get the shoe so he can jerk off and the cactus explodes with semen, I'm like, I give up. I'm done.
I don't think he was jerking off. I think the cactus represented his repression.
No, the bed was shaking and he was jerking off.
Yeah, he was jerking off.
Yeah. And then the cactus came instead of him.
Yes.
Sorry, kids.
Yes.
I'm sitting there, Doug, going, what the hell does Kevin make me watch? This is the most bizarre thing. And then he become prime minister, and they bring up the shoe fetish thing. I'm like, I give up. I can't handle this. I didn't even review this because I don't know what score to give it.
Yeah.
The most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's like discovering like a film from an alien world. Yeah. And you're like, is this entertainment? What is this? I mean, it's Canadian, which I found was interesting about it.
100% this is Canadian. Somebody got some free dough for this one.
Mm-hmm.
They
definitely Canada money involved there, but it's inherently Canadian in the stupidity and the things that we value, like standing in line and making snarky comments, and playing lacrosse to decide who gets to be prime minister. Like, it's wacky.
But he doesn't win, Doug. He loses, and then the guy dies, and they go, "Oh well, we need somebody, so I guess you win."
Yeah, you're adequate.
You're adequate.
And then the marriage rituals too, like having to go across the ice to find her true love blindfolded.
Yes.
And but I thought, you know what? In 1890, like, if anyone watches this is an accurate representation of Canada. This is what happens here.
What's up with the woman eating the pie? You know, when he gives up with the nurse, she starts crying into her cake, and he's doing something else. I'm like,
and then he's jerking off. Yeah.
He's jerking off again. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Well, and he actually did have an unhealthy relationship with his mother, so that is factual in some sense. But
the woman's in drag. His mom's in drag, and then the guy in Winnipeg's in drag. I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah. And then the woman has the mustache in Quebec, the other dictator.
Yes.
But, like, in 1899, I can believe that this is how elections happened. That they got that they had to pee in the calligraphy and then bash baby seals to death. Like, one of the strangest films I've ever seen, but I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And like, I actually legitimately kind of liked it for like 50 minutes, and then I just got bored. I was like, I don't care anymore.
It just didn't make any sense.
For sure. And then it was like, okay, kind of satire, and then it just went into nothing. But this premiered at TIFF in I think in the Vanguard section in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I knew of it. But I didn't really ever want to watch it.
This reminds me of Doug's favorite director I can't stand half the time, David Lynch. This is like the Canadian version of a David Lynch film.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
And luckily, it's not very long. It's only 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 90 minutes enough that I was pained at times. I'm just like, I don't get this.
I don't think it was a real film. Yeah, like when it finished, I was like, this isn't a real film. It's a fever dream. Someone's fever dream of how William Mackenzie King became prime minister because the guy got stabbed to death by a narwhal.
What was it? He went to Vancouver to some Asian. There's like an Asian clinic to prevent him from masturbating or something like that.
Because he's Quentin Tarantino. He has a shoe fetish.
Yes.
Yes.
Foot fetish.
And he has to stop himself, and he has to say something. It was bizarre.
And the alarm bells go off every time he gets a boner.
Yes. Yeah, he had some system built into his waist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weirdest freaking movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And our next film up is something I think Doug has a lot to say about.
Well,
it's involving... What?
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's about involving an amusement park and a giant wheel and a director I know Doug has a comment about. Daniel, hit the cast list, and then we'll go to Doug.
Yeah. Directed by Woody Allen, starring Justin Timberlake, Juno Temple, Kate Winslet, Jim Belushi, Jack Gore, and Tony Sirico.
All right. I'm going to come right out and say, in college, I was a gigantic Woody Allen fan. He was my favorite writer, my favorite director. Annie Hall, Hannah and Her Sisters, Crimes and Misdemeanors. These are like some of my all-time favorite films. Having said that, I have not watched a Woody Allen film since 2013, after Blue Jasmine, when it came out, what an incredible scumbag he is. The rumors I heard, I thought it was in reference to Soon Yi, but my thinking was, oh, he married her, so it's fine. I didn't realize they were speaking about Dylan Farrow and the horribleness that he committed with her. So this is the first Woody Allen movie I've seen in 7 years. I had very mixed feelings on it. It's, first of all, it's not one of his comedies. It's definitely one of his dramas, but it felt like a weaker drama than, say, something like Match Point, which I thought fantastic film. I liked Kate Winslet in her role. I thought it was very interesting to see a woman play the neurotic Woody Allen type character in a film. The one thing that blew me away was Vittorio Storaro's cinematography. Each frame looked like a painting with his use of colors. I actually looked it up, and he actually based his shooting style for this movie on the paintings of a guy named Reginald Marsh, who painted Coney Island.
Oh, really?
Time that the movie took place in, so that's where that look came from. So while I thought it looked really good, I thought Kate Winslet was really good, I do think this was a lesser Woody Allen film.
I hate Match Point. I'll just say that, and then I'll shut up because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this film.
Kevin?
So, I mean, Woody Allen is hit or miss for me, and I do think he's a problematic person when you're dealing with his personal life and the things he's done. So, I mean, I like the most recent film I like of his was Midnight in Paris. I quite enjoyed that film. It's one I would consider buying. I haven't bought it yet, oddly enough, but actually, I think I may have it on Blu-ray. But this one, yeah, it was okay. It had a Death of a Salesman type feel to it. You know, the married couple, she's struggling, she's not happy. She meets the young man, has a romance, but then he falls for her husband's daughter who's living with them. But I mean, it was like what happens with her and her gangster former husbands, goons that are sent out there. It was very telegraphed. You knew at some point someone was going to turn her in, and so that it was left to Kate Winslet's character to make that judgment call. It was almost like her revenge for the young girl falling for the man that she wanted, and it doomed her. And there's the weirdness with the son, who's a pyromaniac. That was interesting, and the husband who doesn't drink, but he hates his daughter, but then he invites her back in, and he wants the best for her. And she seems earnest in her desire to improve herself. The daughter, she was a likable enough character. I just found I didn't care that much about them, and I think that's why it's a lesser film. I think it's beautifully shot. The costumes, the settings are great. I just find that the topic was kind of bland. It was just, yeah.
Little does Kevin know he made me watch a film twice, which never happens. I saw this film a little while ago when it came out. After rewatching it, I remember why. I have no recollection of the film. I did remember once I started. I like the look of the film a lot. I thought it had a very distinct look, and I enjoyed that. I thought the pacing was fine. But, I mean, it's like Woody Allen just talking as Kate Winslet the whole time. And I don't see that. And Justin Timberlake I never found interesting. I thought Jim Belushi did a solid bang-up job. I got to give him full credit. Mm-hmm. But I think you kind of knew where this film was going to end. I really don't think anything was surprising to you when the end happened. You're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, I just felt it could have done more, maybe, or maybe had a little bit more depth at times. I mean, Judo Temple really has not much to do other than whine a bit and just go do her job. Mm-hmm. I mean, Kate Winslet getting revenge, maybe it's a role for her why she took, just so she could take things out. But again, I don't think there's anything here to really attract the viewer. It's an average film. Mm-hmm. I mean, Woody Allen completely this, whether... I have a different view of this, so I guess I'll get into this than Doug. I watch film because I like film. I don't judge people. I don't care what they did. I will watch a film. Now, if you ask me if I like Woody Allen as a person, I would tell you no, 100% no. Well, why do you watch his films? Because I'm a film enthusiast, I watch films. It's like, do I want another cookie? Yes, I do. Do I want another film? Yes, I do. Well, Woody Allen has a film I haven't seen. I will watch it. So, I mean, Anna Camp's in a film that's in theaters. Even though I'm not a big Anna Camp fan, I will watch it. Why? Because I want another cookie. And that's the easiest way I can explain it. I can't stop. I love watching film. I love watching things. I do try to find something in every film. Maybe that's my problem. I watch too much film. So maybe I should slow down so I can axe the Woody Allen films. But I also would take out the David Lynch films too, because I don't really enjoy those usually half the time. Right? But David Lynch hasn't done anything, what Doug would say. And I say, agree. But if we go back, Freddie Arbuckle did things. Charlie Chaplin's having sex with underage women, but I watch all his films. So where's my bar? Or do I just accept I have no bar and just watch the films and treat them for what they are, films?
Well, it's different for every person. Every person can make their own judgments. For me, it's just, I personally, with people like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski, I don't want to support their work after finding out what they did. It's different than, say, somebody like Roger Avery, who I believe I don't want to cast aspersions if I'm wrong. I believe he had a drunk driving accident that killed somebody. But that's different to me than what Woody Allen or Roman Polanski have done.
Yeah, I mean, Victor Silva is a convicted pedophile, but I love Jeepers Creepers too, and he's a shitty person.
There you go.
And we did that Clownhouse movie as well.
I find Roman Polanski to be a troubled figure. He's a weird, because of course he's right in the heart of the whole Tate murder, right? That was his wife who was murdered. So he goes from that to being alone with a teenager who was. There's a lot of stuff there that indicates that the teenager was sort of in on it, and it was the mother that really pushed against. I don't know what to say. He should have known that was wrong.
Yes.
And not done it. So I'm not going to excuse his actions, and he ran rather than face the music of it. But he has produced a lot of great films while he's in Europe. So as long as he's not out there molesting young girls, I think he paid the price by exiling himself and never being able to come back.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here because we got 4 films to go, just so our listeners know that we're not trying to avoid this topic. Just I want to get through our list tonight.
Going to the vault.
Yes, open the vault, Dan.
You want to get Delirious?
Yes, I want to get Delirious. Bring me some tequila.
Did that give you enough time for the edit?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Delirious, starring John Candy, Mariel Hemingway, Emma Sams, Raymond Burr, Dylan Baker, Charles Rocket, David Rush, Renee Taylor, and Robert Wagner for like a minute. I don't know if that's a spoiler. But...
This is really rough, John Candy.
Mm-hmm.
I love John Candy as an actor. I love John Candy in this film as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
But this is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just terrible on every level. I never found anything funny. I realized why Emma Sams never had a career. I realized why I hated soap operas. And I just found this film pointless most of the time. I did like how he kept, when he would get upset, he'd go, oh, they brought in the ringer, that guy that kept writing the scripts, and he would have to keep changing the scripts. I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it never got me going, oh, that's kind of amusing throwaway line. But I just never found this good.
Mm-hmm.
At any time did I find this funny. I never believed John Candy and that woman could ever really hang out. You know? I did like the part when he had to wait for the repairman and wait for the repairman and wait for the repairman. That was kind of amusing.
Mm-hmm.
But then it shows up in the script he's writing. I'm like, really? In the small town, we're going to play the same joke with Raymond Burr?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Writers get inspired by real life, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. I thought that was pointless at times.
Oh, I agree.
Well, you have to look at it. It's fiction. It's the reality up to the point where he's hit by the trunk,
Yes.
and then it's fiction. He's in a fever dream of some kind, and
Is
then
he?
he is. He doesn't go to that place. He doesn't write a script and change things on the fly as he goes along. That's all in his imagination, I think.
Well, I don't know. Pleasantville, they go into the TV, so I thought it was like a Pleasantville kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think this one was more like a I Feel Pretty situation where she bonks her head. Yeah.
Oh, another great thespian movie I loved.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's lost. It's a lost opportunity because he is good. I think he's good. He's trying hard.
Yes.
And it's he was such a great comedic actor, and they set it up for him here. But I found the premise itself just doesn't work that well. He's writing on the fly, and obviously he's writing against his competitor and doing all that stuff. But I liked the cast. I thought, what a fantastic cast all around. Raymond Burr. What's the name of Hemingway? Marjorie Hemingway or Mariel? I can't remember.
Mariel
which one.
Hemingway.
Mariel.
She was great in it. I actually like Emma Sams in this. She's. I mean, it's very meta because she was coming from soap operas, where she did play the rich, bitchy woman. So she had, like, I knew her from General Hospital. Or whatever it was that she was on.
That was what Kevin did with his afternoons in the summer.
Oh, and University. This came out in the early 90s, so I would have been at Western. Like, literally, General Hospital would come on, and The Young and the Restless, and the entire campus would stop when these things were on. I don't know what it was. Something about University. They love soap operas. But, you know, it's disappointing in that it doesn't go anywhere. But I did like how he incorporated his own problems into the storyline by having Raymond Burr wait for the cable guy.
Oh.
You could tell when it was his voice overriding the character's voice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry, were you done, Kevin?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I didn't love the premise. I mean, it's okay. He's playing God. It's more Stranger Than Fiction than Pleasantville. But no, I mean, it was kind of a weird wish fulfillment, and then I was very confused how, even though it's, and I think that's what, because in Pleasantville they actually go to the place, and it's like, okay, wait, did he actually go to the place? Because in the real world, it leaks in that Miro Hemingway character wants the lox with cream cheese on cinnamon toast,
Yes.
and then they end up together, and that was really confusing. But I like the cast. Yeah, I never really bought him as a super spy though, and I think this is the only scenario where he could play a super spy. And then it started out as a satire of soap operas, and then it just went into the tropes of the soap opera, and I felt like I watched a whole season of like a whole arc of it, and I was exhausted by the end of it.
Doug,
I don't
did
like
you
soap
see this
opera.
one?
I haven't seen it for a long time, but I do remember this. This is not my favorite John Candy. I prefer stuff like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Armed and Dangerous, Summer Rental. I like things like that. But yeah, I have not seen this movie in a long time.
Yeah, this was another rewatch for me, but I mean, I probably saw it when I was 11
Like,
or 12.
like,
Like I saw it when it came out. I don't know, whatever year it came out, I saw it. So, moving along to
Wait, could
one
I-
of my favorite directors, I guess.
okay. I'm just gonna say Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's why I don't like motel rooms. When he stabs he breaks into it. Ugh, creepy. Sorry, The Loveless, directed by Kathryn Bigelow and some guy named Monty Montgomery, and then starring Willem Dafoe, Robert Gordon, and Marin Cantor.
Okay, I will start this. I had never seen this film. I mean, I know Bigelow is probably a director. I should dig in a little bit deeper into her filmography. I like everything she does. And I will add this to the list. I like the look of this film. I like the London location town. I thought worked perfectly for this script. I thought the ambiance was great. You could see the difference in a good director shooting as opposed to Irresistible. The same kind of idea. One location town, something's going on, they got to deal with it. Look at the way Bigelow sets a mood, sets everything up, sets characters up, telling not a lot, having basic story, brings in a couple of random people later on, the gang when they show up, they too add to the story. And then it just goes, and then the woman's drunk dad shows up, something happens there. I found this film is always ticking. Something going on, she just looks beautiful. I absolutely loved William Dafoe in this film. I think he looks great. Absolute great casting in it. I just enjoy this film. I wish it had a little bit bigger budget, so maybe it had a little bit more going on, but I get it. It had a budget constraint. You could see that in the set design. So I think bringing it back to the 50s was a great idea. I think it works. I think they watched the Marlon Brando film. I can't remember when he takes over the town.
Wild One.
Wild One Bunch? No, it's not Wild One. Yeah, Wild One. I find it's based on the Wild One. I'd say a lot of it comes from that. That somebody watched this and I'm going to make my own Wild One film. So I'm going to fully recommend this film. I think it has great depth and really good. It's Kathryn Bigelow's first film, so thumbs up for me.
And Willem Dafoe's first film as well.
There you go. He looks great.
I didn't care for this one.
I know you didn't.
I like the music, and it's only, to me, it's only notable because of Kathryn Bigelow's first film and then Willem Dafoe's first credited role. Can't talk. But yeah, I like the music. Nothing really happened. Nothing really happened of interest. I mean, I didn't hate it, but yeah, I just really uneventful for me. I didn't really care for it. Not much to say for me. But music was great because it's done by the same guy that plays the second biker guy.
Okay.
And then
the girlfriend.
Yeah, the Robert Gordon. Yeah, he did the music as well.
Okay. Doug?
I'm kind of in agreement with Daniel on this. I thought the movie was kind of slow. It didn't really... I don't know. It didn't really live up to the potential I had for it going in. I kind of saw it as, the message is, don't judge a book by its cover. The biker gang might look scary. They're scaring all the people in the diner, but they're not actually doing anything bad. It's the father who becomes violent. I kind of wanted to see something like that. Maybe it's just the times we're living in now. but I was kind of hoping, an actor of color would come in, a black character would come in, and we could get that same message across maybe a little more clearly.
Mm.
Sure.
I'm not sure I follow that. So how would that have changed what happened in the film with the action? Is it to
I don't know if it would have changed the action. It just would have kind of cemented what I saw as what the movie was trying to say about, just because something looks different doesn't mean that it's bad.
Hmm.
So I kind of equated that to the political climate in America today with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. So I was kind of, when I'm
well,
at a movie with that theme, it just came across as very white to me. But
Mhm.
I realized this movie was made, in the 70s or 80s.
It's like
1981.
82 or 81, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought this had more in common with, let's say, Catcher in the Rye or Cat on a Hot Tin Roof or any number of 1950s popular novels about the seedier side of life. I thought that he was perfectly cast. He was very iconic in that role. I don't think anybody else could have played that. I mean, he looks the part. Maybe he's okay, but he just looks sinister. And even when he's just sitting there having a smoke or sitting in the diner, he's like the devil in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his presence alone causes ripples in the community. And there's little things. I mean, what he does is essentially the evil in the town bubbles up when he's around. So you've got the father, who we know is abusive because he was at the diner very briefly at the beginning. And then I didn't connect that he was the father of the girl until.
Is that the dad that wouldn't owe her a dime? Is that him?
Yeah. But her mother had killed herself. And so the father had overcompensated by giving her the expensive race car.
Yeah.
But she, she says this isn't the first time she's done this. She just randomly sleeps around with guys to annoy her father.
Yep.
And I couldn't quite gather what her age was. I'm thinking it was more like 15, 16, somewhere in that range.
I was thinking the same.
Maybe 17, stretching it, because she looked very young. And he, what's it with him? Like, obviously there are two sequences. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Didn't she say that he's doing? It was like implying that the father raped her, because she said, "Oh, yeah, he's not doing anything that you haven't done to me 1,000 times before."
Maybe.
Isn't that the situation?
I thought she said it's nothing that I haven't done 1,000 times before.
That's what I thought she said. What Kevin just said.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that.
I thought I heard it the other way, because later Defoe remembers it in his mind. I thought.
Well, that's it too, right? There's that scene where he's sitting in the bar and he remembers the exchange, and then the father goes into the bathroom and instigates a fight with the skinnier biker guy, who looked like he could be blown over in the wind. But and then she shows up and shoots the father, but he doesn't try to save her. I mean, he literally sits there and he's like a voyeur, and he watches her kill herself. He doesn't have any emotional connection to the girl. Like you think he may have, or may have something when he's remembering in the bar, maybe he's getting angry about it, but when confronted with the reality of her dealing with her issues, he's not there. He's ready to move on. He's done his thing. He's overturned the apple cart in that town, exposed the cancerous roots, and now they can go off to the next town and do the same thing there.
Correct.
So it's kind of like what was that movie, The Hitcher, where just a character comes around and kills people randomly, moving from place to place.
Yes.
Like I mean, I love the atmosphere. I definitely felt like I was back in the 50s, and the air of authenticity, going down to the magazines, the calendars, the clothing, the music, everything was letter perfect. And I've seen this many years ago, so I was eager to rewatch it, and it didn't fail. I thought it was great. And then, again, it had more to do with the movies of the 60s, the 70s, which were shorter. The message wasn't as deep. It wasn't as resonant in a sense of what's going on now, but a sense of, this was what life was like then, and these are the bitter truths of what we hide from each other.
Wow, me and Kevin agree. When does that happen?
Shocking, yeah.
Dan, on your outing to the supermarket, did you see any swinging cheerleaders?
I saw many. Swinging Cheerleaders, directed by Jack Hill, starring Joe Johnston, Cheryl Smith, Colleen Camp, Rosanna Catton, George Wallace, and Jack Tinton.
Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
why this film?
Why?
So Tarantino, this was the first pick of Tarantino's film festival, and he was picking films that he loved from when he was a video store guy.
Why Tarantino? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
As far as this kind of movie goes, I think this one's pretty good. I'm not that there's a lot about this that's great, but the premise is somewhat interesting, of the someone infiltrating the cheerleading squad, and she just instigates problems, right? So she's writing an article for the, I don't know, was it the student paper that she's writing it for, or
the weird political boyfriend paper,
yeah,
or something.
So I don't know. It was just a weird voyeuristic look back into what the idea of sexuality was in 1974.
Doug, did you watch this before I go on?
Yeah, I watched it.
Go ahead.
It was okay. I don't know if I'd really recommend anybody watching it. If you want to get titillated, you could get porn for free.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything to recommend about this movie to me. Colleen Camp was in it.
Yep.
She was Yvette in Clue.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Okay. I'll hop a little bit. I thought it had a script, which I was shocked. I really thought this was going to have no script. It did have a plot. Mm-hmm. None of it really paid off at any time. And none of it seemed to go, okay, we're going to do this scene. We're going to have a little bit of action here. That's going to really have no effect on the long term of the film. We're going to do another scene. Has no effect. I just thought it was just really bad.
Okay.
Like, I really felt it had no direction at times. I got it. I was kind of like, okay, the newspaper reporter, we already know the plot that's going to happen. And that kind of stuff. So we already knew what was going on. So I just thought it was weak at best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I was expecting like a teen comedy with all the boobs, but that was the only good part. And it was just a lot of subplots. Honestly, I thought it would have been better if they kind of threw out the cheerleaders, to be honest, and just focused on them trying to rig a season, because that turned into the main plot, and then it was just crowded, and the paper she was writing felt irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I think I just got mad at the filmmaking, because it was the football scenes. I love sports movies, and they were like, hey, do you want archive footage of an old college game? Because we never actually played football on this production. And that frustrated me.
They threw a pass at one point.
Did they? On the sidelines?
They
did.
On the field in practice.
Okay, the practices. But the real games were like, hey, let's just get these archive footage. And then little free shots of the cheerleaders.
Yes.
All right. I mean, it's harmless, but it's why Tarantino? Why?
Okay, we got one more. Captain list ever with 10 films on it. So.
Well, we cut one, so it's 9.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 9. Yeah, we cut one. We've never made the 10th anyway. Go ahead, Dan.
Magician: The Astonishing Life and Work of Orson Welles, starring Orson Welles, Simon Callow, Peter Bogdanovich, Steven Spielberg, and I assume a lot of more talking heads. I didn't watch this because I didn't want Citizen Kane spoiled that Rosebud is a sled.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you just spoil it yourself?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the movie. I know the spoiler though.
Oh.
But okay, I think this is great. If you're an Orson Welles fan, this film is fabulous.
Yeah.
And I've seen pretty much all the films they discussed, but the Shakespeare ones I have not seen. And I mean,
I
there's
haven't
nothing,
seen the Shakespeare ones.
I have not seen Falstaff and Macbeth. I've not seen.
Chimes at Midnight. I thought we reviewed Chimes at
Oh
Midnight.
yeah, I have seen. Is that a Shakespeare one?
That's the Falstaff one.
Oh, then I have seen that. Okay. This film was excellent for Orson Welles film buffs, or if you're an old film buff, I would totally recommend this. Yes, it's an hour and a half with talking heads, but if you're an Orson Welles fan, it gives you some good background on Orson Welles. It doesn't really fill any holes I didn't know, but it just mainly reinforced what I already knew about him. He was a pompous ass. And, he should have just stuck to acting instead of directing, but his ego wouldn't let him. I got that. I knew that ahead of time, though. So I have nothing really to say about it. I think it's a good film to watch. It will fill in a bit of background here and there, which was good. I like the Charlton Heston interviews. I did enjoy the interviews a lot. And again, if you're not a Welles fan, you will not enjoy this. Okay, I'm out.
Watson out.
I thought it was pretty good. I'm a big Orson Welles fan, so there wasn't much information I didn't already know about him. But I enjoyed seeing the clips from his movies again, just reminiscing about those movies. Even the movies I don't love of his, like Lady from Shanghai. I don't love the movie, but I love the ending. I thought the ending of that movie was incredible. Just the visuals. And I disagree with you, Simon. I think he was a brilliant director, and I think he should have directed more. But that's another argument for another podcast. But
I like his directing. I just felt we would have got more out of him as an actor. I think that was the problem. He was just fighting with people all the time and wanting to direct.
Yeah.
And he took too long to make his films. I just wish he would have done more and just shut up and done his job.
Wow. Okay.
Thought Watson was out.
Yeah, exactly. Doug, are you finished or?
yeah, I'm done. You can.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm also a big Wells fan. I've read a few biographies. So this is kind of like Wells's greatest hits, just kind of reviewing all the fine points, which I don't mind. I don't mind the occasional refresher. I think Welles was a brilliant director, and he was actually a very good actor. And he did a lot much earlier than most people did. Obviously, with his radio career and what he did with the National Theater, and then moving into films and Citizen Kane, what a mark to start with, and that ruffled a lot of feathers in Hollywood. And Ambersons is not, it's good, but it's not great because they messed with it and they tried to change it in post-production, so we don't know what he would have done with it. What I've seen of it is fantastic. I haven't actually sat down to watch the restoration that I picked up on Blu-ray. But what I did, I remember watching it one afternoon and loved it. I thought it was what I saw, I loved. Later on, you talk about finishing his films. He was, he self-produced, he financed a lot of those movies. So he would go out and raise the money. And when the money stopped, the shooting stopped, and that was it. So films would languish, and then, then he would get some more money. He would say, "Oh, let's go work on the Falstaff movie now." So they would pick up like a year later, try to get the cast together and see what they could do. So, and he was also great at being able to frame shots without the actors in them. So, he could do things with camera backs and heads and obscure angles to try to hide the fact that it wasn't the original cast member or something was going on that wasn't quite matching the previous shot. I loved it. I thought, I think some of the stories too about coming into Touch of Evil, that was interesting. The end of his life, he was running around doing Paul Masson wine commercials, and he was a perennial talk show guest, and they paid him appearances to go on those talk shows. So that was how he made his money. Yep. So doing voiceovers and stuff like that. And I think he does the intro to, did he do something with the Transformers movie? Or am I thinking?
He did.
Yeah. And he's in the Muppet movie.
He is.
Right at the very end. So he does these weird cameos like Casino Royale. He's in that. The David Niven comedy.
Kind of.
Yeah. He plays in the straight segment, which is the literal adaptation from the Casino Royale novel. The only bit that's actual, he plays Le Chiffre. But anyway, I thought it was interesting and it was cheap. I bought it on iTunes, so it was a good watch.
Okay, we got to go because we're running short on time. If they make it,
We'll watch it.
We'll watch it.
good night all.